Number 15. Tibet, the roof of the world. Tibet sits on the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau, the largest and highest plateau in the world, with an average elevation of over 14,700 feet and an area of about 965,000 square miles. It's not just a single mountain range, but a vast tabletop on top of Asia, home to cities, villages, monasteries, roads, and herds of yaks living their everyday lives. At this altitude, thin air makes simple things harder. A short uphill walk can leave you breathless. Sleep may feel lighter as your body adjusts to less oxygen, and water boils at a lower temperature, so food takes longer to cook. Skin and lips dry out quickly, and the sun can feel cold yet still sting, making sunburn easy without good coverage. Geographically, Tibet is surrounded by some of the world's highest ranges, including the Himalayas and the Kunlun, and it holds enormous reserves of ice and snow, often called Earth's third pole. Many of Asia's major rivers begin here and flow down to lower regions, supporting billions of people. That's why the roof of the world isn't just a nickname. It describes a land that's high, vast, and vital to a continent's water and climate. Number 14. The Potala Monastery, the most sacred symbol. In the heart of Lhasa, the Potala Palace sits atop Mapo Ri Hill at about 12,140 feet. From afar, the red and white structure looks like a fortress built into the mountainside, rising sharply into the sky, an image many people instantly associate with Tibet. The complex is 13 stories tall, about 1,312 feet long, and about 1,148 feet wide, with over 1,000 rooms, countless chapels, and layers of Buddha images and guardian figures. For centuries, it served as the winter residence of successive Dalai Lamas and the traditional center of religious and governmental authority. Inside, it feels like a maze of sloping corridors, stone stairways, and shrine rooms. Some areas are dim, lit by the soft glow of butter lamps. Others are bright with murals, statues, and gilded stupas. The air carries the scent of butter, incense, fabric, and aged wood, like time itself has settled into the walls. In 1994, UNESCO recognized the Potala Palace as a World Heritage Site. More than a landmark, it remains a powerful symbol of Tibetan Buddhism, the Dalai Lama's history, and a long-running tradition of governance on the roof of the world. Number 13. YAKS, the survival secret on the Tibetan Plateau. On the Tibetan Plateau, if you had to pick one animal that truly decides whether people can make it or not, it would be the yak. This is a large, long-haired animal built for extreme cold, able to breathe in thin air, climb steep slopes, and live on tough, dry mountain grasses. So in a place with long winters, strong winds, and almost no tall trees, the yak becomes the quiet backbone of the region. From a single yak, Tibetans get nearly everything they need to get by. Milk for butter, cheese, and energy-rich yogurt that stores well. Meat saved for winter when the grasslands are snow-covered. Hair and fiber for warm, durable coats, blankets, rugs, tents, and ropes. Dried yak dung for fuel where wood is scarce. And strong pulling power to carry loads, pull carts, plow fields, and cross high passes. Step into a traditional Tibetan home, and you'll see yak everywhere, from the rug under your feet, to the blanket on the bed, to the fire in the stove. And even famous butter tea gets its rich, salty warmth from yak butter, helping the body handle cold and altitude fatigue from low oxygen. Even mountain monasteries depend on yaks to bring up rice, butter, fuel, and building materials. without major roads or trucks. Yak caravans on narrow trails are the plateau's natural trucks and forklifts. In a land where basics like firewood, fuel, and warm clothing are hard to come by, the yak isn't just livestock, it's the practical foundation that helps people stay for the long haul on the roof of the world. Number 12. Tibetans practiced polyandry. Historically, in some rural parts of Tibet, there was a very unusual marriage arrangement. One woman would marry 2 or more biological brothers within the same family. It may sound strange at first, but the reasons were extremely practical. In places where farmland was scarce, if each son split off to start his own household, the fields and livestock would be divided smaller and smaller with each generation until there wasn't enough left to support a family. So, having brothers share one wife and raise children together helped keep land and assets as one unit. One roof, one plot of land, one herd of yaks, one flock of sheep, almost like a family business that wouldn't get broken apart. In families like this, the eldest brother often represented the household and had the final say in major decisions, but all brothers were expected to work and share responsibility for their common life. Children born into the home were considered children of the household, and people rarely focused on the question of who the biological father was. What mattered more was that the children belonged to that lineage, grew up on that land, and were protected by the whole family. Today, this form of polyandry has declined significantly. Legally, it is no longer accepted for new marriages. Even so, in a few remote areas on the plateau, people say it may still exist as a way of adapting to harsh living conditions. In other words, it was a family economics solution shaped by life on the roof of the world, rather than simply religion or a strange custom, as many outsiders assume. Number 11. Butter tea, the essence of life on the roof of Asia. Butter tea, po cha, is something almost every Tibetan drinks. But for outsiders, the first taste can be a mild shock. The recipe is simple and shaped by plateau life. Strong black tea, often from compressed tea bricks, is blended with yak butter, salt, sometimes a little milk, then churned until it turns cloudy, thick, salty, and rich. It isn't sweet or floral, but closer to a hot soup than a typical cup of tea. In Tibet's cold, dry, thin-air climate, it makes perfect sense. The butter provides quick energy and warmth, the salt replaces minerals, and the tea helps you stay alert. Butter tea is often paired with sampa, a Tibetan staple made from roasted barley flour. Sampa goes into a bowl. Butter tea is poured in, and the mixture is kneaded by hand into a soft dough, rolled into small balls, and eaten right away. For Tibetans, po cha and sampa aren't just food and drink. They're a way of life, warm, filling, and also a sign of hospitality, since guests are often offered butter tea before any real conversation begins. Number 10. Losar, the distinct new year of the Tibetan people. Tibetans don't only use the Western calendar, they also follow their own Tibetan lunar calendar. Losar, the new year, begins on the first day of the first lunar month. On the Western calendar, it usually falls in February or March. Some years it lines up with Lunar New Year, and other years it can be days or even weeks apart. Losar is celebrated not only in Tibet, but also by Tibetan communities in India, Nepal, and Bhutan, with slightly different local traditions. The festival traces back to the ancient Burn religion as a winter offering ceremony for safety and a good harvest, and later became the Tibetan New Year. Before Losar, homes and monasteries are cleaned and decorated, people prepare traditional foods, and many buy or sew new clothes. The first 3 days are the heart of the holiday. Day 1, Lama Losar. People visit temples, greet the monks, place barley and sampa flour on altars, eat dressel rice, and drink barley liquor. Day 2, Gyalpo Losar, the King's Losar, honors the Dalai Lama and spiritual leaders with singing, dancing, and traditional performances. Day 3, Chukyong Losar, focuses on offerings to the Buddha and protector deities, hanging prayer flags, and continued temple visits and pilgrimages. The New Year feeling often lasts for many more days, and it truly ends with the Butter Lamp Festival, when yak butter sculptures are made as monastery offerings, closing the season with light and wishes of good fortune for the year ahead. Number 9. Where dry dung is a symbol of wealth. When you first set foot in Tibet, there's a sight that makes many travelers pause. On the walls of local homes, you may sometimes see brown patches spread into smooth, flat layers, almost like fresh plaster. It's easy to misunderstand, but on the plateau, it's a normal part of daily life. For Tibetans, yak dung isn't just waste. In places where trees struggle to grow in the cold, dry climate, firewood is almost a luxury. So yak dung is collected, dried, and used as fuel for heating and cooking. The air is so dry that it cures quickly, and when burned, it works like natural fuel cakes. So why dry it or press it onto walls? To catch sun and wind, keep things tidy, and save space. And traditionally, families with more yaks were often better off, so having a lot to dry could be seen as a sign that this family has means. Of course, burning yak dung has a downside. Indoor smoke can affect health and the environment, so in many places, people are gradually switching to cleaner stoves. If you see those unusual walls, remember, it's not something strange, but a practical way of living shaped by the land and climate. Number 8. The Qinghai-Tibet train, the rail journey that takes you up to the roof of the world. The Qinghai-Tibet Railway is the highest railway line in the world, linking Xining, Qinghai, with Lhasa, the capital of Tibet, over nearly 1,240 miles. Much of the route runs above 13,100 feet, and one section crosses Tangula Pass at over 16,400 feet, where the world's highest railway station is located. This ride isn't just a cheaper option, it's an experience. Out the window, the scenery changes hour by hour. Wide grasslands with yaks, clear lakes mirroring the sky, snow-capped peaks on the horizon, and then windswept stretches of sparse grass and ice. The higher you go, the fewer homes you see, until the landscape feels like another world. Because of the altitude, the cars have an onboard oxygen system and UV protective windows to help with thin air and strong sun. Crossing permafrost is also an engineering achievement, with a specially designed railbed to protect the frozen ground. For many travelers, this is the right way into Tibet. Rather than jumping straight to about 11,800 feet by plane, you climb gradually, giving your body time to adjust while you take in the plateau before arriving in Lhasa. Number 7. Barkhor, the circular path where daily life and faith meet. Barkhor is a stone-paved loop in Lhasa's old quarter that circles Jokang Templion of Tibet's most sacred temples. This route dates back to around the 7th century, runs about 0.6 miles, and for more than 1,300 years, pilgrims have walked clockwise around the Jokang on the Barkhor to build spiritual merit. For Tibetans, doing a Kora, circling a sacred site, here isn't a tourist activity, it's part of spiritual life, and many people do it every day year after year. What makes Barkhor so special is that it's both a pilgrimage route and a marketplace. On the same path, you'll see Tibetans moving slowly, turning prayer wheels in their hands, quietly reciting. Right beside them are stalls selling scarves, prayer beads, Buddha figures, Thangka paintings, knives, shoes, snacks, butter tea, and everyday supplies. Visitors, vendors, locals, and pilgrims all blend into one steady flow. There isn't a sharp line between holy space and shopping space. One loop of Barkhor can be both a quick errand run and a religious ritual. For Tibetans, that's exactly what feels natural daily life, and the spiritual journey aren't separate, but walk side by side on the very same road. Number 6. Mount Kailash, Asia's most sacred mountain. Mount Kailash is one of Asia's most mysterious mountains because it is sacred to 4 religions: Burn, Tibet's native tradition, Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism. That shared reverence alone makes it feel like more than just a spot on a map. Kailash sits in Pulan County in western Tibet, in a landscape that feels vast and almost empty. Grey rock, cold, dry valleys, and fast-moving clouds under a high sky. From a distance, the mountain looks sharply carved like a natural pyramid, with a snow-capped summit that stands out against the open plateau. What's most unusual is that almost no one climbs to the top, not only for practical reasons, but because many see conquering the summit as disrespectful. Instead, the most important tradition is the Kora, walking a full circuit around the mountain in thin air and cold wind, where each step tests both stamina and devotion. Kailash is also wrapped in stories. Some call it a spiritual center of the world. Others point to strange coincidences, linking it to places like Stonehenge or ancient pyramids. There's no firm conclusion, but that mix of harsh beauty, deep reverence, and mystery is exactly what makes people want to witness it, usually from a respectful distance. Number 5. Salt fields by the river, where white squares become heritage. Along the Lancang River, the upper reaches of the Mekong, in places like Sakalho, Markham, or Yanjing, you may come across one of Tibet's most unusual and beautiful sights: terraced salt fields clinging to the mountainside. Instead of being spread across coastal flats like in many other places, the salt here comes from underground salty springs, which are channeled into small square pans made of wood or packed earth, then left under sun and wind until the salt crystallizes. Thousands of salt pans, some perfectly square, others slightly uneven, stack and spill across layers of red rock and steep cliffs, creating a natural architectural landscape that feels both rugged and captivating. Salt making in this region has a history stretching from hundreds to more than 1,000 years, passed down from one generation to the next. In recent years, many of these saltfield areas have been officially recognized by local authorities as intangible cultural heritage in order to preserve them. For local families, it's simply their livelihood, the main source of household income. For travelers, it's a rare scene: white squares shimmering on the mountain, people carrying brine, spreading salt, and children running along the narrow paths. For the community, these salt fields are a thread that ties together the past, the present, and the future of people who live alongside the river and these layers of white salt. Number 4. The Dalai Lama, the spiritual heart of the Tibetan people. In Tibet, Dalai Lama is not just a name. It is a title tied to an entire lineage of spiritual leadership. Tibetans believe that when a Dalai Lama passes away, the journey does not end. senior monks set out once again, following traditional signs, to find a child believed to be the next reincarnation. That child is then guided into a strict path of study and discipline, growing up with daily chants and religious training in order to continue leading the community spiritually. The current Dalai Lama is the 14th in the lineage, Tenzin Gyatso, born in 1935. Recognized at a young age, he was brought to Lhasa to study and gradually became the head of traditional Tibetan Buddhism. When people think of Lhasa, they often picture the deep red robes of monks against white walls, prayer wheels spinning steadily in pilgrims' hands, and the faint scent of butter lamps, warm and earthy, a quiet sign that prayer is always present. After major historical changes, he left Tibet in 1959 and has lived in exile in India ever since. What's remarkable is that despite being far from his homeland, his image has reached beyond borders, becoming a global symbol of peace and nonviolence. He has traveled widely, speaking about compassion, tolerance, and ways to preserve Tibetan identity through peaceful means, a reminder that strength can sometimes lie in gentleness and perseverance. In 1989, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and for many Tibetans, whether living in Tibet or in exile, the Dalai Lama remains their teacher, a spiritual father, and the clearest symbol of faith and identity. On the roof of the world, where PLATEAU, winds roar, and prayer flags never stop fluttering, that faith is like a red thread tying people to their homeland, quiet but enduring. Number 3. Lungta prayer flags, an emotional map floating over the roof of the world. If you look closely at photos or videos of Tibet, you'll notice something striking. Wherever you go, the same 5 colors show up again and again: red, white, yellow, green, and blue. You'll see them on monastery walls, on parts of the Jokang, on cloth, hanging inside shrine rooms, and on prayer flags streaming over mountain passes. It may look like simple decoration, but for Tibetans, these are the 5 sacred colors in Tibetan Buddhism, linked to the 5 elements and 5 kinds of wisdom. Red represents fire, the force that can burn away attachment and transform it into clear discernment of right and wrong. White represents air, helping cut through ignorance to see reality as it is. Yellow is earth, standing for steadiness, turning pride into calm balance. Green is water, transforming jealousy into the wisdom of accomplishment, being able to take joy in your own success and in others as well. And blue represents space, where anger can be softened and transformed into clarity through meditation. So when you look up at rows of colorful flags fluttering on a mountain ridge, or step into a monastery glowing with red, yellow, and blue, you're not just seeing Tibetan colors, you're standing inside an emotional map coded in color, where each shade is a reminder. Negative emotions aren't something to hide, but something to transform. Number 2. Tibetan script, ink strokes that hold the plateau's soul. The Tibetan language belongs to the Sino-Tibetan family and has its own writing system dating back to the 7th century. This script was created based on an ancient Indian alphabet, originally meant for translating and recording Buddhist teachings. Over time, though, it became more than a religious tool. It turned into a way to write history, laws, letters, poetry, and folk tales, in other words, to preserve the memory of an entire people. If you travel past mountain passes or villages in Tibet, you'll see carved stones and long stone walls filled with Om Mani Padme Hum. Written in Tibetan, these are mani stones, a way of turning language into part of the landscape. The words aren't only on paper, they live outdoors, on the road, on bridges, and in front of monasteries. In a modern world where many places rely only on Chinese or English, the fact that Tibetans continue to teach, read, and write in their own language is a very clear choice. When a language disappears, the way of seeing the world and the way of telling stories tied to it disappear too. For Tibetans, protecting their script and language is a simple but powerful way to say to the rest of the world, we're still here, and we have our own voice. Number 1. Yamdrok Lake. When the sky touches the water. Yamdrok Lake, Yamdrok Yumtso, is one of Tibet's most sacred and beautiful lakes, located south of Lhasa, and Tibetans regard it as the lake of life. Seen from above, the shoreline winds between bare mountains, like a ribbon of jade-green silk wrapped around the plateau. What leaves the strongest impression on travelers is the lake's almost unbelievable color. On clear days with strong sunshine, the entire surface flares up in vivid turquoise. Some areas look deep blue-green, others pale and bright, so striking it can seem like a color-edited photo. That color comes from the lake's clarity, minerals, and sediments on the bottom, but it never looks exactly the same. When the sky turns cloudy, fog rolls in, or the light softens, the lake immediately changes mood. The blue becomes gentler, slightly gray, sometimes shifting toward a milky teal, and the surface feels far more quiet and still. That's why Yamdrok never looks the same on two visits. From the very same viewpoint, one day you might see it glowing like a gemstone, and another day it becomes calm water with a softened blue, as if a thin veil of smoke has been laid over it. Many travelers say that standing on a high pass and looking down at Yamdrok feels like staring into a giant mirror reflecting the mood of Tibet's sky. You can't predict how photogenic it will be that day, and that surprise is one of the reasons Yamdrok becomes one of the most memorable stops on a journey across the roof of the world. Today's journey exploring Tibet comes to an end. Did any of the strange and fascinating things about this land surprise you? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support our channel, and make sure you don't miss any upcoming videos. And click on the video appearing in the corner of the screen to discover more interesting content. Goodbye, and see you next time.